How's it going, everyone? I'm Dalton Johnson. I'm here with Avery and Daniel, and we are the time and delays group for the contractors. I'm Dalton Johnson, like I said. I'm in the construction management and technology degree. I am a senior at ASU, and I graduate this December. I'm actually a third generation Sun Devil. I've had two internships, both with McCarthy. This past summer, I was a solar estimator, and the summer before that, I was interning PE at a hospital out in Chandler. I started my full-time job at McCarthy in January 2023 as a solar estimator. I was born and raised in Phoenix, and a fun fact about me is I am a pilot.
Hello, everybody. My name is Daniel Martinez. I was born and raised in Arizona, and I've been working in the construction industry since I was 16 years old. Roughly like 7, 8 years of experience right now. The last year, I'd say, have been in the management side of construction. Currently a senior at Arizona State University, pursuing the construction management bachelor's degree, and graduating in May 2023. And I'm looking forward to get into the residential construction industry once I leave ASU.
Hi, I'm Avery Aspin, and I am a senior at Arizona State University, currently pursuing my Bachelor's of Science in Engineering and Civil Engineering. I plan to graduate this December 2022, and this is my construction management minor as well as a sustainability minor. I have a 3.65 GPA, and I am an active member of the American Society of Civil Engineers, and I am part of the Sustainable Solutions Project for the past 2 years. I'm also an active member of the Salsa Club, but I cannot dance, even though I've been part of the club for 2 years. I currently work with the city of Scottsdale as a traffic engineer intern in the transportation department, and I have worked there for over a year now. But I'm currently looking for work in transportation design because I want to get more into AutoCAD and MicroStation. So for our sponsor, we got Jerry Greer. He works at Oakland Construction, and he's been working on this project for many years with this construction class. He is an Arizona State University alumni, and he's been with Oakland for over 7 years. He worked as an architect before working for a contractor, and he has worked in many companies for DLR and Moorfeld Ray Architects.
So background on the times and delays. So time and delays are very important in the construction industry. Typically, the two main parts of a job and most important parts of a job are cost and time. And typically, the cost and time directly correlate with one another. There's a common phrase that is used in contracts is stated that time is of the essence. Essentially, when that phrase is used, it's typically refers to that the time that is allotted to the project is a firm, and the end date is a firm date. A big part of this, and then a little background is this project does mention that time is of the essence in the contract, and then a big part of the project and determining whether or not you want to go after project is understanding the schedule and how much time is allotted. And if typically that's when a lot of people can determine, or companies can determine, whether or not they go after a project. Time and delivery vocabulary. First, we have liquidated damages. Liquidated damages are a cost of intangible or hard to define losses to one party. Consequential damages. So these are typically damages that are related to delays that come from a breach of contract. They're typically very hard to quantify or define because they're speculative. Typically for owners, consequential damages are like loss of profit or loss of use. For contractors, it's typically lost profits or increased labor, material, or equipment prices. Excusable delays. Excusable delays are essentially just delays that are not controllable. These are essentially like weather delays, acts of the government, or like crime-related delays. Inexcusable delays, these are delays that are caused by the control of the general contractor. So inexcusable delays are not allowed, or the contractor is not allowed or will not be granted additional time. And typically this ends up being associated with liquidated damages. And the most common type of inexcusable delay is rework. Compensable delays are delays that are caused by the owner, the owner's agents, and or the architects or engineers. And then concurrent delays are essentially two delays acting at the same time. Analysis of the schedule. So the notice to proceed. So essentially, the notice to proceed was when the project starts, was when the owner issued the notice to proceed. It was issued on February 14th of 2020. We believe it was not a good idea to start the project with the notice to proceed because the permits were not approved yet. Since the permits were not approved, we were not able to mobilize or start any construction related activities until the permits were approved, and they weren't approved till April 23rd of 2020. So essentially that just by that occurring, we ended up burning through 2 months of float and ended up putting us basically 2 months behind just right out the gate. And then this delay would be defined as a compensable delay due to the fact that the owner was the one who caused it. So the excavation and utility lines. So this was a section that caused 35 days worth of delays. The delay happened on April 25th of 2020. And so essentially the owner provided plans of where the chilled water system terminated, but the plans were incorrect. It didn't terminate exactly where they were. It was roughly 10 feet off. And we had that spot blue staked. We ended up figuring out that it wasn't where the spot was. So then the plans got fixed. But after the plans were fixed, we were trying to keep the job moving since April 25th was only 2 days after we were just allowed to start. So we're trying to keep the job moving since we already had 2 months of delays. And unfortunately, we ended up hitting the utility lines. This section would most likely be considered a concurrent delay. The compensable part being the fact that the plans were incorrect. They didn't properly show where the chilled water system was terminating. And then the other part would be the inexcusable delay, where we didn't get the second spot blue staked. And we proposed to split the delays since this was kind of both of our faults. We proposed to split the delays at 18 days.
Millwork delays began on September 25th when Pay App 54 was not approved by the owner, in which Millwork's payments was on. And then on December 19th, the owner continued to state that previous money owed will not be paid until contractor caused delays have been sorted out. However, the delays from the contractor are due to payment delays from the owner. And this issue can refer to section 8.3.1 in this section, delays and extension of time in the contracts, which states a owner pending mediation and binding dispute resolution is a reasonable clause to extend the contract time. And on December 1st, just a couple of weeks before the owner said that, the millwork subcontractor filed a mechanics and materials man lien on the condominiums, which would in fact be a dispute waiting resolution from the owner and from the owner side. So we categorize this as a compensable delay from the owner since he was the one holding up the payments, which consequently stopped the millwork subcontractor from doing work. And we are proposing a 53-day compensable delay from the owner for this. So liquidated damages. For the notice to proceed dispute, we are requesting 2 months compensable delay to the contractor. Excavation and utility delay, we are splitting that with the owner down the middle. So they would be responsible for the 18-day of that 35-day delay. And then for the millwork dispute, we are asking for a 53-day delay compensable to the contractor, since that was a owner caused delay.
The fire safety system at the hotel is currently code compliant with the city as judged by the inspector and is the same system installed in the residential condos. The fire safety system in the residential condos are specified as compliant as well as meets the required specifications that allows tenants to safely reside in the residential development. However, the Marriott is not allowing the owner to open to the public without the intended fire safety system installed, so this will cause a large delay. That being said, though, we are proposing a temporary certificate of occupancy from the city to allow the Marriott Hotel to open in time for the Super Bowl at no cost to the owner. If necessary, we are willing to install the intended fire safety system during the weekdays or overnight to not interfere with the sold-out hotel and its residents. Therefore, with this proposed solution, the liquidated damages should probably be reduced since there was no interference with the Super Bowl weekend and the Marriott was able to accommodate the originally intended expected occupancy. So some red flags that were noticeable in the contract and some ways that may have been able to prevent dispute includes the starting of the project as soon as the notice to proceed was awarded to the contractor. The obvious reason for this being an inconvenience for the contractor was that it was assigned February 14th of 2020, yet the owner did not have the necessary permits to allow contracting work to take place on the property. Therefore, work was not able to begin until April 23rd when the owner finally received all necessary permits. This was over 2 months worth of time that was unavailable to the construction team. So the scheduled float days for the construction team that were for cases of emergencies, issues, or unforeseen circumstances, which we can all agree was experienced in this project, were no longer at the construction team's disposal. With that being said, 69 days of work were offset from the original schedule and are proposed to be excused from the 75 days of requested extension. In total, that should reflect about 8% of the time delays, which is the amount of days not covered from the 69-day offset and the liquidated damages associated. Next, the fire sprinklers were a hot topic for costs and delays. It was caused from two conflicting opinions between the Marriott and the city regulations, and therefore is an important dispute in the contract. As previously stated in the slide before this, we are requesting that the liquidated damages be reduced since a temporary certificate of occupancy can avoid closing the hotel during the Super Bowl weekend, yet the contractor will still replace the sprinkler system. As for the utilities, the drawings were unclear and poorly, if not incorrectly, represented the existing chilled water system and the utility lines. This is clearly a shortcoming of the architect and should be treated as such. As stated in the contract, the final approved plans and drawings were finalized with the owner by the end of 2019, yet the additional extensions such as the A101 and the A202 were not completed and attached until January 31st of 2020. This therefore did not hold the contractor accountable for the utilities markings on the plans when the contract plans and specifications were originally finalized. And additionally, the owner did not approve of the 35-day extension requested by the contractor. But because of the dates listed above and in good faith, we are requesting to split the delays in half and hope for a grant of 18 days extension. And then the issues with the HVAC subcontractors included miscommunication between parties for a helpful plan to save approximately $300,000. The necessary precautions for notifying the architect and mechanical engineer for the switch in subcontractors was made in advance for a scheduled time of installation in September 2020 by the contractor. However, despite the mechanical engineer approving the switch with minor changes, the architect did not stamp the submittal packet despite constant reminders until November 2020. Further delays were caused by issues with the subcontractor and their provided number of units, as well as the JLL developer representative. The developer called all installations to a stop and eventually convinced the architect to demand train instead of despite the stamp of approval. Therefore, we are requesting a 30-day extension because of the needed 15 days to create a new submittal for train, as well as receive the train order. And lastly, there were disputes between the payments owed to the construction team by the owner. This includes payment app 54, 55, and 56, but specifically a payment directed towards the millwork for the cabinets had not been paid due to the owner illegally withholding money without first consulting the architect, as stated in 9.5.1. The contractor was only informed of the decision to withhold the payment when the funds were not received and the contractor had to reach out to the owner. The owner promptly stated that they are withholding money because of the anticipated late delivery of the project. However, that in turn has caused the cabinets to subcontractor to halt installation until properly paid. This is then aiding in additional delay. So we are asking in good faith and as an ethical business practice to receive payment to continue all necessary work to prevent further delays.